The fifth state beyond Turiya. Is it possible? There is a silence beneath silence, a stillness beyond even awareness. Most know waking life, fewer remember their dreams. Rarer still is the one who knows the deep quiet of sleep. And beyond them all waits a fourth state, the field of pure awareness, the silent witness. But what if this too is not the final destination? What if the one who is aware also vanishes, and something remains? Nameless, wordless, a fifth state, beyond the beyond. Tonight, we enter the mystery few dare to speak aloud, a truth that cannot be owned, only dissolved into. Part 1. The map of consciousness so far. Across many ancient teachings, 4 fundamental states of consciousness are commonly described. 1 waking, outward-directed, sensorily active, and bound by the ego's preferences. 2 dreaming, inward-facing, imaginative, emotionally potent, shaped by impressions. 3 deep sleep, formless, silent, and unconscious, yet strangely restorative. 4 transcendental awareness, sometimes called the fourth or pure witnessing. Here the mind is still, the senses are quiet, and yet you remain silent, steady, aware. This fourth state is unlike the first 3. It does not come and go, it is the ground behind all experiences. It is not a state in the way we typically think, but rather the background presence that was always there. Spiritual traditions often equate this with awakening, but some mystics, upon entering this field, realize something shocking. Even this is not the final silence, because in this awareness there is still someone there to know it. Part 2. The glimpse of the fifth. In rare, irreversible moments, something deeper opens. It is not an insight. It is not a blissful expansion. It is a vanishing. First, the mind dissolves. Then, the one watching the mind. Then, the field of awareness itself. And yet, existence does not end. The body still breathes. Life continues. But there is no observer, no commentator, no experiencer. There is no longer even the feeling of being aware. It is not unconsciousness, because something somehow remains. But what remains has no edge, no center, no witness. This is what has been called very carefully the fifth state. Part 3. Why the fifth state is so rarely described. You will not find detailed scriptures on this state, because it cannot be described without creating a duality. The moment someone says, "I entered the fifth state," they are speaking from memory, from the fourth, or from mind. The fifth leaves no trace, no impressions, no echoes in thought. Even the greatest seers spoke of it in veiled metaphors. It is like space folding into itself, and forgetting it ever opened. The drop returns to the ocean, not as a reunion, but as a disappearance. In the fifth, there is no self left to own the silence. It is not awareness of silence. It is silence without awareness. And this is why it is so difficult to speak of, because to speak at all is to step outside of it. Part 4. The science and the mystery. Let us pause and ask, can modern science glimpse this frontier? Neuroscientists can measure brain waves, beta in waking, theta in dreaming, delta in deep sleep. In advanced meditators, the fourth state, pure awareness, often shows up as gamma coherence across the brain, or deep stillness paired with alertness. But the fifth, by its nature, the fifth cannot register in the brain, because it is not happening within consciousness. Rather, it is the collapse of all states of knowing. Some might compare it to the zero-point field in physics, a realm of pure potential where no vibration has yet emerged. Others liken it to the singularity before the Big Bang, a point beyond space, time, and observation. But these metaphors, while helpful, still operate from within the mind. And the fifth state is not a concept. It is not an altered state. It is the end of all states. Part 5. Life after the fifth. Now here is the real question. If one dissolves into the fifth, how can they return? And yet, some do. There are rare beings who, after disappearing completely, reappear in the world, but they do not return as a person. They return as function without identity, as life operating freely without any internal commentary. These beings do not remember the fifth state because it cannot be remembered. They do not speak from it because it has no voice. But their presence carries a weightless gravity, a stillness that reshapes others. They no longer think in terms of liberation. They no longer seek anything, because there is no one left to seek. Part 6. What this means for you. Now we ask, should you chase this? Absolutely not. The fifth is not a goal. It is not a level to unlock. It is not for the ego or the mind. If you try to reach it, you will fail, because the one trying must vanish first. But you can prepare the ground. How? By quieting your identity, by releasing the need to comment on your own awareness, by resting in the fourth, not as a possession, but as a surrender. The fourth is your training ground. It is the silence with presence. And when that silence deepens enough, long enough, it may one day collapse into the nameless. And when that happens, there will be no one left to say, it happened. Only this will remain. Not awareness, not unconsciousness, just this. Mystical reflection, the vanishing point. Imagine a candle burning in a dark cave. At first you see the flame. That is waking life. Then the flame flickers and shows you dreams. Then it is snuffed, and you fall into deep sleep. But beyond this, a sudden realization. You are the cave, the watcher of the flame. That is the fourth. And then, without warning, even the cave vanishes. Even the watcher disappears. And what remains? Not nothing, but no thing. This is not something you can own. It is the place where ownership ends. This is not transcendence. It is what transcends even transcendence, and it is the most intimate silence you will never remember.